Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now this is going to go by fast, so I'm going to try to keep up. I begin with just some I'm just kind of spreading some paint around, making what's going to be the underpainting. And it loosens me up, it's very expressive. And to be honest, I actually like the painting at this moment in the video right here. I really like that, it makes me want to explore that. Maybe come back in. Okay, so now I'm starting with faces. This is my thing that I like to do is paint faces. So um, I'll just start dropping them in. Sometimes I see them. There'll be light and dark areas from the underpainting, which will suggest a face to me, and I'll bring it out. And other times I just decide that I want to fit someone somewhere and put them in. Then I go in and try to make the faces stand out, so I'll paint out the areas around the faces. And my general rule of thumb is that I try to contrast warm and cool colors, light and dark colors, just to, try to do that. And so, for instance, if a face is predominantly blue, I will use pink or yellow or orange to bring it out. So that's what I'm doing now, is I'm kind of bringing them out. And now you see I put some pink on the sides of some of the faces. I've been trying to push myself. I tend to get a little bit too attached to a face once I bring it out, and I find myself often, on the one hand, a little disappointed that the face isn't better or more interesting, but at the same time too attached to the face to do anything to it because I'm afraid I'll ruin it. So I've been forcing myself to go in and just take chances and do things to alter the faces. And I find, as you see those three on the bottom, I marked them up. They almost look mask-like. And I really like it. They look far more interesting to me than they did initially. And so that's something I've been experimenting with, and we'll see how far I'm able to take it in the future. So again, I'm going in, just kind of trying to bring the faces out by sort of painting out the backgrounds. So now I'm going in with a oil pastel, adding some details like making the mouths more prominent. And then I outline all the faces in white as well to kind of bring them out a little bit better. Now in the end there's going to be 15 faces here. I think right now there's only 10. I hadn't discovered the other faces yet. And again, as it says at the beginning, this was more than 6 hours of footage initially. So just to try to keep it under 15 minutes, I had to speed it up a lot. So I'm sorry if it's not showing you the degree of detail that you'd like to see, but I don't think anybody would want to sit here for 6 hours. So there's a new face up there. And I decided to bring out this one, the one within the body of the other one. Found one down here. And there's going to be 2 more. I start one there, don't know what to do with it, I leave it behind, but I'll come back to it. And then I sat down for a minute and I saw another one, which you'll see me bring out eventually, which I thought was kind of interesting. And a lot of what you'll see me do can seem kind of repetitive. Like you'll see me over and over again, painting the backgrounds, bringing, trying to make the faces pop more. It's because I do the initial sort of thing, and then as I make adjustments to the faces, I realize that I need to tighten them up, and the backgrounds can be as much a part of tightening a face up as the foreground. And depending on what sort of changes I've made to the face, I may find that the original background color is no longer working for me, and so I'll change it. There's the other face right there, peeking around the corner. And I drew in a hand. Hands are something I've struggled with my entire life. But sometimes you just gotta go for it and not worry about it. Okay, more background color. There I go. I finally committed to this face here. Going back in, little details. Now at a certain point here, I decided that the areas of paint surrounding the figures was too plain. It was I don't know, it didn't have enough interest for me. And so I started going in and adding some lines because I thought it would create some interest. Yeah, see, I think I'm starting to do it here. Every now and then you'll see me pop in, and eventually you're going to see some squiggly lines filling in the areas around the figures. And it felt right to me to do it at the time. All of what I do here is a kind of intuitive thing. I try not to think too much. I find personally that if I think too much, I just don't do anything. So I tend to get an idea and decide, well, let's see where that goes. So the lines that you're going to see me fill in surrounding the figures came to me as an idea of energy, some sort of visual energy flowing or moving between or amongst these beings that are gathered here. So you can see I've got some hints of it here and there. It'll really stand out in a little bit here once I get around to it. Still putting some details in. There we go, there's more lines, putting in some red ones. And while I thought that it did look interesting, perhaps you'll be able to tell from the video, I'm not sure. It was definitely interesting. It made the backgrounds much more interesting than they'd been. It also made them too busy. I found that it was taking away from the faces. And since the faces are the most important part of the piece, you don't want something taking away from them. So what you're going to end up seeing me do is paint over them. And so then the question arises, well, was it a mistake to have painted them in the first place? And I don't think of it that way. It's all part of the process, just as all that underpainting that I did at the beginning is, barely visible anymore. You can see bits of it in some of the faces, but beyond that, was I wasting all that paint? But I don't think so, because everything that I do moves the painting forward. It inspires the next thing that I do. So here you go, you see, this is this morning. I got up and started painting over. And you can still see the marks, they're just not as prominent. So whereas before, there were just these swaths of color that I felt were kind of flat and lifeless, the energy lines are still visible underneath them. And so it wasn't for naught. I put them there, it pushed the painting forward, and now I have these energy lines still visible, still there, moving between and amongst these beings. Almost finished here. Couple finishing touches, touching up the lines, and there it is. 6.5 hours of work. I'm really happy with it. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Take care.